Hello, everybody. Hoping you are enjoying this fantastic event. And now it's time to introduce the second keynote for today. My name is Chema Garcia. I'm working at Santander Corporate and Investment Banking, leading the AI transformation and trying to learn a lot about all of you. So now I am pleased to introduce you, Mr. Dean Leffingwell. He is recognized as the one of the world's famous authorities on lean agile best practices. He is an author, entrepreneur, and software development methodologist, founder of several successful startups, including Requisite Inc., makers of Requisites Pro, as created by Rational. Mr. Lynn Leffingwell also served as a chief methodologist of Ready Software, and prior to that, as the vice president at Rational Software, part of IMB. He currently serves as chief of methodology to Scale Agile Inc., with he co-founded in 2011. Today, Mr. Leffingwell is going to talk about balancing the dual operating system with SAFe 5. So, Dean, thank you very much for being here, and it's your floor.
Thank you, Chema. Thanks for having me. Good morning here, good afternoon, good evening, good late afternoon, wherever you are. It's my privilege to be here today and support the Festiva Agile Trend session. I think this is the second time that I've had the privilege of speaking to this crew. I think the first time they translated the slides, but I'm sure that we didn't do that this time. I'm going to talk today about really a brand new topic, balancing the dual operating system. And in so doing, I'm going to spend just a few minutes saying the why of the dual operating system, but I want to spend the bulk of the time talking about what we've learned since we introduced the dual operating system, or since we instantiated that in our thinking and our SAFe, and we start to parse the behaviors of one operating system versus the other, and we start to understand how both operating systems can be agile and yet how they need to interoperate. So this is brand new content. I've been developing this for a while because some of our largest customers have said, we need to know more about this. As you know, we have tremendous bodies of knowledge that inform us with SAFe, and one of those bodies of knowledge is a fairly short book, Project to Product by Mick Kirsten. You needn't fear it. It's a pretty thin book. It's a very easy read, but it's very deep in its thinking because it is both incredibly contemporary from a DevOps standpoint and also is based upon the last 20 or 30 years of lean thinking. So this book is a lean agile product book, and it's one of the things that have influenced me greatly in these next few years of my career. Mick and I become friends about this. We talk all the time about the state of the industry, and I'm happy to talk about his book a little bit because he captured the essence of what we're trying to do in the large enterprise. And when I got to just the introduction to his book in the preface, we saw this quote, which you can see here. Those who master large-scale software delivery will define the economic landscape of the 21st century. What's implied by that is that those who don't, won't. So unless we're going to be dominated by the FANG companies, you know, the Facebooks and the Amazons and the Apples, and Apple is now the world's biggest watchmaker, unless we're all going to work for one of 10 trillionaires, we, the non-FANG companies, have to get our act together and to be able to develop and deliver absolutely world-class software every bit as good as they can. And the next portion of this, we lean into a different book, Kotter's Accelerate, which I don't have that prop handy here, I don't think, but I was looking at it just yesterday. And when I read Kotter's book just about a year and a half ago, it reminded me of starting this company and every other company that I've started. This is my 5th startup, all in Colorado, all in software. It's what I do. And when I do it, I start with a very small group of people, typically people I've worked with for some time. I mean, people that have, some of them, one of the people that joined me at one of the people that joined me at Scaled Agile, this is the 5th company that she's worked with me in. So you start out as a network and you know what you're doing because the customer is the center of everything. There's nothing to lose. You're very entrepreneurial. There are no roles, there are no titles. There's a time in our company when we grow about halfway here that we didn't even know who the CEO was, because who the CEO of the company was not really the relevant consideration. But as we grew, we had to become more stable, and we needed to build a hierarchy. We needed to know things like, can we travel or not? Who's going to approve expense reports? What policies and procedures do we operate with? We have a lot of policies right now around COVID. We have policies around our building and the use of the building in the COVID time. We have policies for legal. We just opened up offices in Australia. We created a corporate entity in Australia. The hierarchy is very good at those things. And over time, it grows and grows. And the hierarchy takes on the responsibility for shipping our existing products, what I'll call our Horizon 1 products, the stuff that we ship right now and deliver every day. But we grow and we grow. And the more we grow, what starts to happen is a hierarchy starts to dominate. And if I look at my calendar, early in the company's time, it was customer focused, customer centric, meeting with my team, delivering product. Within 4 or 5 years, my calendar had 60 or 70%. I was CEO at the time, associated with things that happened in the hierarchy, very important things, hiring and recruiting and budgeting and finance and marketing and sales, and less time to innovate, less and less time to work in the network. And what we know is that if there's going to be a battle, the hierarchy is going to win. And it wins for a number of reasons. It's where the rules are. It's where people report. It's where the revenue is. It's where the bonuses is. It's where where all the sales are. It's where the physical plant is. It's all the rules and procedures to operate to keep us legal and safe and stable. And it makes money. It makes the money that we need to pay us. So it takes charge. But as it takes charge, and especially as we get to thousands of employees and thousands of employees, most people in the company end up spending their time in the hierarchy. And as we organize to get better at certain types of things, maybe we organize our embedded systems developers together. We create a division for embedded systems so that we can optimize the efficiency of embedded systems. Well, embedded systems is just software that runs on a vehicle. Well, other people are building the vehicle. Well, that's a different department. That's a different division. And consequently, flow doesn't go that way. It gets to be extremely awkward. If you look at this picture here, it's hard to get flow out of that. And the customer, he's still here. The network is still here, but it's a shadow of its former self. The metaphor and the thinking behind this piece, the dual operating system, comes from John Kotter and his book, Accelerate. A very small book. I might have it, I might not. The answer is I do not have it handy. It's only this deep. And this is one of the books that after the first 40 or so pages, you get it. And what he calls out is not that the hierarchy is bad. He calls out the fact that the hierarchy is a very good thing. But as it gets more and more mature, it tends to crush or intimidate the network from working. And when it comes to change management, and that's Kotter's world, noted Harvard professor for, he's been doing this as long as I have, noted professor of change management, he said, we can't do this anymore and compete in the digital age. We are not fast enough. And these hierarchies and the cultures that we built over the past century simply cannot keep up. And within about 5 pages, he says, look, we need to think about this problem differently. The network needs to be present. It needs to be customer centric. And it comes from the hierarchy. It's not that we go hire people in the network. The people work in the reporting system. I have a boss. Someone has to approve my expense report. So be it. We have a manager of my team. I'm not the manager of my team. The manager is a manager of our team, and he worries about all the policies associated with compensation and the rule base and how we do our volunteer time off and what's expected for PTO, and how we're managing our time and how we're interacting with the company, and all the rules of being a good employee in a good company. But he's on my team. So I lead a team in the network side that the people that I lead don't report to me. That's great. If they do, then I'm spending time here on the hierarchy side instead of on the network side. We need both. We need a dual operating system. And as we realized, as we were going into very large companies, the Nokia corporations and the John Deeres and the BMCs and the Computer Associates, FedExes and the Amexes and the Ciscos and the MasterCards, that they were very, very good on their functional hierarchies. And their IT tended to be people in the functional hierarchy organized around IT, serving the needs of the function. But when it comes to application development, it wasn't as efficient. It didn't work nearly as well. And in that case, we instantiated inside that business. We didn't reorganize the hierarchy. We've never gone in and said, you should start hiring and firing and let's shuffle this structure. That's a dangerous business. Who are we or you as SAFE program consultants to tell the business how they should be organized that way? But what we did do is we went to the other side and we said, let's run SAFE. Let's create virtual organizations. Let's create teams of people that can work together because it's the right thing to do. They can form and storm, and they can swarm. You hear that word in Agile. I don't think we ever heard that word prior to Agile. We can swarm on the work. Wherever the work is, we can go there. So this was a year ago, maybe a couple months ago, that we posited this and we started working this way. At the same time, we started a reorg in our company because we were organized a little bit traditionally. We had really outgrown this, just the teamness, and we had a hierarchy now, a couple hundred employees, and starting to get pretty rigorous. And our teams weren't particularly well formed necessarily. Were we agile? For sure, we've always been agile, successful at what we do. But we had to go through this exercise, and we had to think what responsibilities live in one side and what responsibilities live in the other. And that's the nature of this talk. So we need to balance these systems. And the first thing I would like to say very specifically here, when we look at a hierarchy, it looks like structure. People report to people. Gosh, that's bad. No, it's not bad. It's how that portion of our company works. And I would strongly encourage you and all of us to have respect for what works. It's the thing that pays us, but I'll also show you how we can start to evolve what they do in a more agile way and provide even better support for the work that we do, at least my team does, on the development side. And when you think about the responsibility, so if you think about SAFE from the abstract, SAFE is a system of roles, people, and their responsibilities. It's not more than that. Certain people do certain things. Product managers think about product management. Product owners own a backlog for a team or a product. When the product managers and the product owners cooperate, then multiple product owners can work well underneath a single product manager, and you can build a good solution. That's good. So over here on this side, our work in some ways is pretty simple. I reviewed this slide just yesterday with some peers, and they said, well, you should have a really long list of stuff over there. And I said, no, I don't think so. We have that responsibility to do those things. That's it. Now, it's not easy to do that, and it's super, super valuable, but we develop the solutions. And look at the other side. I mean, I ran out of bullets. Revenue and expense management. The budget comes from there. Production of goods and services. We don't manufacture things. Our portions of our system, like our courseware, have really extensive value streams. To get a student into a course and get them certified and keep them on the platform, there's a lot of work there. We don't do that in develop. We develop the systems they use to do that, but we don't do that work. Finance and accounting and investment, it's where a paycheck comes from. sales, marketing, legal, compliance, corporate governance, people policies, compensation and career development. There's things that the hierarchy is good at that the network isn't so much. How do you promote within the network? The work is always changing. I need to work on a different thing. I don't report to people there. I want to work on something different. Well, do I get a promotion for that? No, because if you're restricted by the connection from the promotion, you're probably not going to be able to do that work. So fundamentally, different purposes. Most of the people, most of the money, most of the budget is on the right. We don't pivot to spend 50% on R&D in a company like Santander, one of our hosts here. It's a smaller number. Some things are clear. It's a hierarchy that has responsibilities. There's a network that has a responsibility, and some things are shared. So in the center, things that must be shared is strategy. Now, strategy is a big fancy word and it covers a lot of territory, but what strategy in our world means is what products do you sell to whom? Well, the hierarchy can't say we should sell these products to these people. They're probably not coupled directly to this product other than in Horizon 1, the current set. We have to agree on that. We have to decide that this set of products and that set of customers. Customer engagements has to happen both places. Things like support, sales, interactivity, dealing with complaints and issues, revenue management, collections, cash flow happens on the right. But support is shared because our team, our development team as an example, has a support responsibility. Most of the questions that come through the framework are answered by the frontline support team. They don't need us to have an FAQ. Somebody says, well, you know, why did the customer move from the right to the left? They have an answer for that. So customer engagement, support, and strategy are shared. So that's where we come together to figure out how to build our work for whom, who to support, how to make support efficient. We, on the network side, contribute frequently asked questions to the support side for that. The responsibilities need to be cleared. Some are specific, some are shared. And if you understand that, you start to understand how to work together. Oh, we do own that particular problem. The other thing that is blindingly obvious when you start to look at the world this way is that we've introduced development value streams in SAFe 7, 8 years ago. We started to get more specific about operational value streams just a couple of years ago, but they've never actually been in the system. They will appear soon in the system, and we'll see in just a few months down the road how we want to handle that. The network side, those are the development value streams we've always talked about. We build things. Technical definition, the sequence of activities needed to convert a business model, business hypothesis into a technology-enabled solution, digitally enabled solution. That's what we do. That delivers value. But we don't build those things. We don't ship them. We don't collect for them. Sometimes we host them, sometimes we don't. It might be a widget. It might be these AirPods. The people that design these don't build them. That goes through manufacturing. There's an operational value stream that got this earpod in my ear that's extraordinarily complex compared to the development value stream that created it. Unlike things. Left side network, develop, and by the way, did they develop the AirPods? What they do? Yes, they developed the specs for the AirPods, but they didn't manufacture it. They might have built, you know, maybe 100 prototypes in the lab, but they went to manufacturing for that. So when we start to understand the two different types of value streams, and we said, oh, the hierarchy is where the money gets made, we start to find our customers, because not everything we do goes right to the end user. Maybe I'm manufacturing an autonomous vehicle. My customer, oh, for sure, is the driver of that. But my first customer is the people that run the supply chain to buy the parts. If I can't get my parts to build a car, I haven't done any good. So first discriminator, development value streams network, operational value streams on the other side. Now we can start to say, I'm starting to see the differences. I'm starting to understand for example, well, we'll get there in just a second. I'll go on with that. But I think what's interesting is the different characteristics of these. And as we started putting these characteristics down, we started to get additional insights about how this really needed to work, and also why it's so difficult to operate if you don't understand. If you look on the left and you look on the right and you look at the first bullet, I'll animate that, the next version of this slide. The bullet on the left is self-organizing. If the team I'm on wants to meet with another team because we're developing a new courseware product, and the team that's responsible for courseware has instructional designers, we can do that. We can work with them. We can go to their daily stand-ups. We can blend our teams even. We can run for a period of time where we're one big fat team. Typically, it doesn't go quite that far, but we could have 3 teams work on one thing if that's important. We're already there. What's the work look like? We organize constantly. We just recently went through the Scrum Masters change. I don't even know why, but they did. So the Scrum Masters change, there's no management structure that says you can't be Scrum Master for that other team. And those organizations are evolving now. We do like long-lived, stable teams. I'm an example of one. And yet, if you look at any point in time, the people on my team have changed over time, and that's good. We bring in new people. Some people move on to different responsibilities. And the speed is fast and furious. We go really fast. As a good example, our company runs 2-week. We run our entire business on SAFe. We run 2-week iterations. The framework team runs 1 week because 2 weeks is too long. So we're the clock. So we develop the IP that the rest of the company uses. Everything is fast and furious. On the right, we need stability. We need to know that the thing we did yesterday is probably going to be the same thing we're going to do tomorrow. Innovation and experimentation on the left, not so much experimentation on the right. Don't mess with that customer. Don't introduce that new idea about when they're ready to sign. On the left, fail fast. We talk about it all the time. It's like, we're so cool that we can talk about we're going to fail fast. Well, try that on the right. We had a problem in sales, and we've got a client now really unhappy with us, and they're coming at us really hard because we made a big mistake. Well, we can't really fail over there. I mean, sure, we can have some small experiments, but if that fails, cash flow dries up. If that fails, if you don't get the organization right in Australia, you end up in trouble in Australia. And that organization on the right has a pretty long-term memory, right? Definitely remembers things. On the left, find, fix, and forget. Or, hey, we just this last month, we killed an MVP. We made a pretty substantial investment in that product, and the company decided it's not the right thing to do. Too big a shift from our normal paradigm. Okay, done. Shut the work down, ignore sunk costs, get ready to go. Well, right side, we made a mistake last year with this proposal, and it got us in trouble with the customer or got us in trouble with the regulators. We can't make that mistake again. So it's okay to have a long-term memory on that side. Left side, think about Reinertson and some of the work in product development flow, exploiting variability. Right side, reduce variability. As you see these characteristics evolve, you start to go, they really are different. They're optimized for different things. We need them both, right? And they need to interoperate, which I'll talk about shortly. What else do we need to balance? We need to balance our investments. The image on the left says there's a big investment. Most of that money goes to the hierarchy. So the amount that's invested in the network, the development side, the R&D, if you will, could vary from a very small number, maybe a really large retail food distributor might spend 1 or 2% on IT and applications. And you might have a Microsoft that spends 20% or 25% on R&D. We don't have an opinion on that, but the money is spent differently. The money that's spent by the enterprise is spent on our existing stuff. And by the way, sometimes we simply need to put to bed old solutions. there'll be a time not so long from now that version 4.6 of SAFE has to go off the market. We're going to have to invest in that. We have to invest in taking that off the market. But the important thing is that this investment has to be balanced across the horizons. Now, this is McKinsey/Jeffrey Moore thinking that basically says, if you want your Horizon 1s to have a very good future, then it's very important that you make your investments in Horizon 3, 2, and 1. And that language will help you in discussions with your key stakeholders about things like, how much are we investing in Horizon 3? And if the answer is nothing now, that better be a short-term answer. How about Horizon 2? Nope, all of development right now is in Horizon 1. Well, you're in trouble because you're not today inventing the things that will eventually make their way through the system and become part of Horizon 1. So that's one of the things we want to collaborate on. Now, this path, the connection between the hierarchy and the network, is pretty well defined in lean portfolio management. And strategy and investment funding is the place it comes together. Now, it also comes together in governments and portfolio operations, but the important one is here. This is where we make this decision. So the portfolio management function for if you're in an enterprise and you've not started down that path yet, fear not. It's just practical work by practical people. When you build the portfolio management function, you start to see the portfolio level work and you start to see the amount of work associated with the portfolio. And you start to understand that you may have excess WIP. You're going to see the fact that the business model is changing a bit. You're going to be informed by strategic teams. So if you've not begun your portfolio journey, please do. And that will be the next big quantum leap into a different type of enterprise, one that sees the work, understands the investment in horizons, and knows how to make the investment. Now, when we think of the hierarchy, it just kind of looks bad. It's like top down. There's a boss and a boss and a boss, and we report to them and they say yes or no. And I do or don't get my stuff because they didn't let me. I think I've explained to you the value of that hierarchy. And Cotter in his book said those hierarchies that have built companies, the companies you work in, the Santander Banks and the American Expresses and the Trade Station Securities and the Cisco's with a C and the Cisco with an S and the Airbuses and the Volvos of the world, the people that are headed down this lean agile path. Those hierarchies have created incredibly good companies, and we need to help there too. And we need a lean agile mindset. But how do we work? Well, we've got a whole framework for that. We don't have to think from scratch how we do our work. We know how we do our work. We know how we deal with our customers. We know the roles and responsibilities. We know how we build the pipeline to get stuff out. This is a known state. Over here, we need to help our peeps start to understand what this mindset is, because then they can think about things a little differently. They can do marketing. They can do Agile HR, and they can help us hire better, and they can build policies that recruit and retain people that want to work in an agile way, that recruit executives that naturally empower others versus executives that are strictly command and control. And one of the tools that we use over here actually came from there, at least in the lean world, but then it kind of went away. And we have to bring it back, because if the money goes through these value streams, sorry about that. I've never figured out what that little bug is that caused that to happen. I thought I fixed it before this session, but I obviously didn't. These value streams is where the money are. If you ever wanted to improve a value stream, that's the one you'd want to look at. Over here, we can get faster time to market through development, but over here, we get faster time to market through operations. I get my AirPods quicker because of value stream mapping. Also, they control our contracts, because we don't have money. We can't hire a vendor. We can't pay them. We don't know what the rules are. Maybe they've got CapEx and OpEx issues they need to deal with. So we want to help our peeps And we're going to spend a lot of our time in the next few years helping over here. But it's not a bad thing. It's not those bad hierarchy guys. It's the place that it's the people that give me an operating system. It's the people that fixed when I upgraded to a Big Sur operating system. My security settings went wacky and I couldn't get on a website all of a sudden. The people helped me do that. People that did that little video. These are our peeps. They just have a different responsibility. Now, in the last few minutes here, I'm going to briefly show you something that you will see over time. And what you'll start to see is more information about how it is that we interoperate our development and operational value streams. And specifically, you're going to start to see patterns and topologies where we've analyzed the market and said, you know, operational value streams are of different types. When people come into an SBC class and they set up a development value stream that builds a vehicle, that's not what we do. We do something entirely different. We build the specs for people to build the vehicle. When people come in and say, I only do this, well, what about all this other work? Who's going to provide support for those customers? Developers are going to do that too. And then they're supporting operational value streams. So we've arbitrarily described 4 types, but that's an incredibly rich surface. So I'm going to show you what we can do once we have those 4 types. Now, don't worry about the fact that you won't be able to fully understand that here, because this is a lightning talk, if you will. Each of these types, we can start to exploit various types of development value stream patterns. And you've seen this if you've been through, say, for an SBC class or whatever. We're going to aggregate around the systems that we build. But wow, the manufacturing is entirely different. We don't build that. We build the specs. And by the way, our customer moves. Supply chain's a customer, manufacturing a customer, validation, shipping, and testing. How does that get shipped? Did we design the packaging for that? That's our customer as well. Sometimes we build really big software systems, in which case most of our work goes here. But still, what about support? Do we have teams that work with them? Sometimes we build systems that support multiple operational value streams. And sometimes we need to organize in a way that makes that more efficient. So I'm going to stop here and go to here, because we don't have time to really talk about the topologies. And the important thing was to understand that the responsibility, things that matter is to understand the responsibilities of each, how we connect the systems, and the fact that very soon we're going to provide a lot more guidance on how to organize around value. So that starts to just barely leak into the Q&A time, but we have Q&A time, and I'm certainly glad to be talking to you instead of talking to my screen. So I'm going to look to Chema and say, do we have any questions that we can talk about?
Okay, thank you very much, Dean. It's a very, very interesting approach to how to deal with these 2 different organization, dual operational model. So the key question is how to understand the operational value streams are in fact funding our development value stream, more or less. No? So how do you propose some kind of metrics to understand in the short term with development value stream, how to move forward, checking if the operational value stream are getting the successful on the goals?
I'll go back to this picture, which is probably the biggest picture that we have. So our development value streams serve operational value streams, but they sync with KPIs and solutions. So the KPIs are the things that determine whether or not we're doing the right things. Now that KPI may be a thing that the operational value stream reports on. The KPI may need to be, we sold this number of cars, or the KPI might mean we had this many people visit the website or this many people sign up. These are the economic measures that are associated with the development value streams, right? So as we support the operational value streams, we build these solutions.
Mm-hmm.
We build these things, and we budget back to the hierarchy, which is here in the enterprise, with a lean budget based upon these outcomes.
Okay.
So
great.
here's the hierarchy, here's our budgeting model, and here's the way we're evaluated and measured in our work.
Great. The left part of the vision, the network vision, could be aligned in some goals that could be different than the functional hierarchy. So what happens is we are successful in the left part, but we have some kind of breaks in the hierarchical expectation of the delivery, of the impact.
So that's a fair question, right? And I'm gonna go here to start to answer that. When we launched SAFe5, it was about 2.5 years ago that we invented SAFe5. And we went to an offsite with our SPCT community, and we spent a full day having them tell us what we should be building. And what they told us was that the tech was not enough, and that as organizations got better on the left and they can do good work there, you'll create inventory that the right can't address, right? Horizon 1 is not adept at moving Horizon 2 into the system. So they said, we need more than technical agility. We need business agility. And that's when business agility popped up at the top of the queue. And in order to have business agility, we had to start doing some things. For example, product marketing, certainly they live in marketing, but they join a train. Things like legal, you might have a person in legal that lives with a train for a period of time. I'm pointing a large solution here, I'll point down at this guy. And on this side, we probably can help them map their value stream. Because if they have waste in the process, they're going to be slow in delivering as well. And we need help from them on hiring. We need to understand how to start to bring a lean agile mindset to that world. So our job with business agility is to say, yeah, we've got some agility. You can be agile too. What does your value stream look like? Let's sort it out. And company by company by company, SPCs are helping the hierarchical system analyze the value stream. And when they do that, they start to get thinking about where what the delays are in the process, what value stream is mapping. So if we can help them map their value streams, kind of like the Six Sigma teams have been doing over time, then we can help them get stuff to market faster. If the hierarchy is slow, no matter what our cycle time is over here, all we're going to do is create inventory, right? If we go really fast, all we're going to do is create inventory that can't get through the system. So we're obligated as professionals in the enterprise to bring agility to both sides of that system.
Mm-hmm. Great. And we have 2 minutes. One question more is, assuming we have dual operating model system, we are duplicating the meetings, the events, or not?
No. So here's the thing. You have to stop doing things, right? So let's just say we have on this side, the system demo. I think I can find him right there. That's really an important meeting. That is basically the status check for that agile release train, whether they're making progress or not. We can't go over here and have the same meeting to say, how are we doing, right? So if you go through and factor all the work that was happening here in meetings, including all the scrambles to figure out what was going on in R&D, you double it up. You can't double it up. You have to stop doing a lot of different things. One of our framework guys has a talk on exactly that, and move to this paradigm. So all the objective evidence is over here, right? There's no objective evidence here. These are reports, you know, red, blue, green, you know, detailed 17 pages. Nobody reads page 16. This is data. This is systems operating in the customer context. So at one of the large German banks, we have a very good partner there, and they went through and they plotted all the meeting times before, killed a lot of those meetings and said, yes, we do need demo, we need PI planning, and ended up with far less time in meetings. Half of the time or so, a third of the time in meetings, was fixing misunderstandings due to lack of alignment. That goes away in the process. So we can't do it both. We can't do a demo over here and a waterfall report over here. You can't do a customer demo at a system thing and then over here say we need to invite the customer in and talk about our products. You've got to depend on objective evidence on this side and dispense with most of the standard reporting and functions that we build over here. Now, if the left side doesn't exist, then all the reporting has to be here because that's where the work is, and nothing is going through the system. So you have to have lots and lots of meetings to figure out why stuff isn't flowing. It flows over here. Stuff flows. Let's go watch it flow.
Okay, so great. I think we are over time. So now, Dean, thank you very much for your presentation and your talk.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me practice my next most important talk.
Thank you. See you.